Hello friends, in this video we'll talk a little bit about civil services examination. This will be a casual conversation as to addressing some of the doubts that were asked by the students. In this one question that predominated the whole conversation when I was having it with one student was, how do you reinvent yourself, or how do you not get bored with reading books repeatedly? Because in civil services examination they keep telling this fact that we have to read not 10 books one time, rather we have to read one book 10 times. So this is the formula that everyone, even I also insist on the fact that we have to have one book which we have to go for multiple revisions. But in this multiple revision there is one downside to that. We usually get very bored when we are repeatedly doing some things, and this is what is called as monotony. And this monotony of Monday or every week coming again, going to the office, going in the traffic, and going again doing the repetitive works, maybe it is called as mundane work. Monday, so Monday being that mundane work, everybody has this problem where repetition of thing gets a little bit of problematic in life also. You can think about various scenarios in life where even, for example, you can think about marriages. You can ask any of your married friends. They may first start with yes, it is nice, but again they will have this conversation of it is going in the same way. Why it is the same way? Have you ever wondered why it feels the same way? An institution which has to be so exciting, or it is exciting, but it becomes a little bit of mundane as work, as we saw. And this is also true for civil services examination, and it is also true in the case of most of the features in the human endeavor. And that is why human beings usually get really bored. This word, we are mostly, if you imagine the scenario, we are usually bored, and that boredom we take it as sadness, or we take it as depression, or we take it as our life is not going anywhere. So many people keep saying that I keep asking questions about this future or present or past, and I am an overthinker. All this is, if you are going to have an understanding, it is basically boredom. That is, we are having a lot of time, and we do not want to do the things repeatedly, because what we are going to do is again the same work that we did yesterday. And that is why this exciting, adventurous things actually excite us. Going to different places, seeing different people. This is something in biology called as this dopamine curve. And in anthropology also it comes. This dopamine curve is something which will excite you, or this dopamine will be present or increasing. The curve will increase only when you have a novel or new things in your life. The repetitive things, the dopamine will be there, but it gets saturated. And when it gets saturated, you don't have the feeling of happiness, because human beings have this relative feeling. Only when the dopamine of yesterday is higher than today, or the dopamine of today is higher than yesterday, you will feel happiness. If it is the other way around, yesterday was higher and today was low, you will feel a lot of low things. And this is exactly what happens to people who are consuming alcohol or cigarette smoking, especially cigarette smoking and alcohol. If you see, it gives this rush of dopamine, or it gives this rush of this hormone, which gives you this sense of pleasure for the moment. But the next day, and that is what mostly you will have these people who are consuming alcohol, the next day would be a terrible day, and including the hangover, it will be a terrible day, because the dopamine would have, yesterday the dopamine would have been high, but the normal dopamine secretion in your body will be limited. And relatively speaking, yesterday was higher than today, so you will feel a lot of sadness. And that is why this people get addicted, and they go into this cycle of again drinking and increasing their dopamine. But what has this got to do with civil services? If you see, book reading or reading the book is actually an innovative way. Reading a book is the most exciting part of a human being, is what we have been seeing for a very long time. Philosophers have said that. But why do then reading books in civil services become monotonous or repetitive? Means we here have to restrict ourselves to one book 10 times. We cannot read 10 books one time. We can read, but whether it is going to give the output, it is going to be a difficult task. And that is why, if you see, students will always go for this materials. Materials will give you this different things will be there, and those different things feels like a new thing. Instead of going and reading Lakshmikant again, or instead of going and reading this history, modern India history spectrum, we actually will be enticed. That is, your brain will be enticed to go and read the material in order for you to feel happy again. But if you think whether it is going to give you output as to clearing this examination, it is a very difficult task. And that is why people who are able to do this one book 10 times will actually clear. But how do they do that? And if you ask me, I personally have seen so many people are able to do that. But I was not a person who was able to do one book 10 times, and it was a very difficult task for me as well. And for the people who can do, please do that. One book 10 times, if you are able to do, it will definitely be the most successful strategy for civil services, not other things. When you become an officer, you have to go for many readings, and you have to become to the preparation level. If you are not able to do it again, or repeatedly you are not able to do, I insist, or I want you to do this reinvention. Do not sit back. Do not sit back and feel bored and think that you have finished, and then you will again read the same book at the last moment and clear this examination. No. Or don't think that. That is why students go for solving questions. That is why people insist on solve questions, because you cannot repeatedly read the same book. Polity, how many times are we going to read? And that is why people say that you solve this question paper and then you can actually have a revision again. But the problem is happening is that the solution for question paper, the way they are taking is predominantly current affairs. The meaning of solving question paper in civil services, why it came means, it is because we cannot read the same book 10 times. And hence what they did was, solve question paper, you will revise the book again. Once you have read, once you have solved, once again some other question paper, so 2-3 times revision will happen. This is the logic of the solving question paper. But now what has happened is that these question papers are loaded with current affairs and meaningless current affairs. That is the point. If there is meaning to that, I will also agree. But you can solve those questions. Go for those sectional questions. You can solve polity if you are bored of reading Lakshmikant again and again. You can take previous year question paper. You can take that sectional tests, and you can solve that questions, and you will be excited. But what I feel is you can also in terms of history, I have seen that history is a very huge subject, and certain people history option, you have to have a nuance of understanding of different streams of thoughts, and spectrum gives you everything. But if you go a little bit, or you widen your scope, that is, I am not asking you to have 10 books and go to this examination. I'm asking you to widen your scope, have a comprehensive understanding, go for some nice books, nice exciting books, and then you come back, narrow it down. See, it should be like a pyramid. The preparation should be like a pyramid. That is, the bottom layer should be the exhaustive way you are reading. and it should actually converge to a point where when it comes to the preliminary examination, you should converge to the source which are necessary for the examination. By this, you will be definitely reducing the monotony or the mundane that I was talking about, or in terms of any other thing that I said. To make that exciting, you have to reinvent yourself. You cannot fall back and take things for granted. That is what happens in relationships. That is what happens in life. That is what this boredom can make anyone. If you think about all these, you go and talk to any of these alcoholics or any of the person who are addicted to this habit. It is mainly boredom, or people eating a lot. It can, see, all these can have some health related issues also, but people eating a lot, it is mainly because of boredom. It is not because of stress or things like that. Stress and things are different. Boredom, you are repeatedly doing something, the dopamine will not go up. And when you are not excited about something, and that is when the problem arises. And that is where Karl Marx would say. Karl Marx, in his famous book, would talk about alienation. In sociology, it will be there. Alienation of your job. That is what he is talking about, is that when you are not connected to that job, you will be doing it repeatedly. When you are doing it repeatedly, you will have this boredom, and when you are having this boredom, you will become a very, very dormant person. And that dormant person is what Karl Marx wanted to invoke, that fire within oneself to protest, and this inequality should be reduced. And the sociology has a little bit of biology and anthropological reason as well. We cannot think about theories just merely as capitalism and socialism. Capitalism is, if you think about it, it is an opposite thing. Today you buy one thing, tomorrow you buy another thing, you buy this car, next car. Why we go like that means it gives a sense of pleasure. And same way in civil services, 1 book, 2 book, 3 book, it will give you a lot of pleasure. But whether it is going to give you output, as I said, 1 book 10 times will give you an output. Why this 10 books will not give you output? In a sense that you cannot consolidate the material. It will give you excitement, but it is not, you cannot consolidate the material, and you cannot write it in the paper as well. And that is why I insist on the fact that stick to 1 book 10 times, but try to read comprehensively. Be a person who is wanting to have that curiosity, like a child who is excited about everything. Like Einstein used to say, there are only 2 ways to live this life. 1, as if nothing is an excitement. 2, everything is an excitement. In civil services, think about everything as an excitement, and to be excited about every topic. And that is the main reason I ask for this reading newspaper. In every video I insist on the fact that reading newspaper is important, because it is not only about this current affairs. It is a very huge marathon, this examination that you are running. You are not going to run this examination merely for 2 months or 3 months. It is going to be a very long journey. How are you going to get yourself motivated till that journey? You have to be excited every day. You have to have new innovative things seen, and you have to be questioned every day. This is the limit that you have studied. If you have fixed that this is the limit that I have studied and I know everything, that will not excite you tomorrow. You have to be questioned every day. You have to be challenged every day. Newspaper challenges you. Every day will give you some new things that you, even yesterday, 10 years, 12 years, how much ever you study, newspaper will challenge you every day. These are things which you may seem as new, but then you will go again. You will go again and you check Lakshmikant. You will go again and you will check geography book. The earthquake, for example, earthquake happened in yesterday in Turkey. It's a very sad thing, but how do you relate to yourself? So when you read that, go read GS paper 1, what is the meaning of this geographical fact, and what in geopolitics, what it means by India Turkey relationship, how is this going to pan out, and by this you can keep yourself motivated. And I will end this with one story which I read about Akira Kurosawa. Everyone would definitely know Akira Kurosawa, who is a very famous Japanese filmmaker. The movies Rashomon, Seven Samurai. Some would say that Rashomon was Virumandi in Tamil was taken from Rashomon or things like that. But he was Akira Kurosawa. Everyone knows that. But there was a person, or how Akira Kurosawa was influenced to coming to filmmaking. It was his brother. His brother was the person who brought him to the filmmaking. His brother was a person who was involved prior to filmmaking. If you see, there were silent filmmakers. That is, silent filmmakers in a sense, there will not be any sound to that. And somebody should be standing and they would be explaining the scene. If the silent movie is running, somebody would be explaining. And that was Akira Kurosawa's brother, Haigo Kurosawa. And that was his job. And in Japan, he had a huge fan following for this kind of explanation that he did for the silent movies. But as you might be well aware, 1930s brought in this sound mixing. Or now movies could be made with the help of sound, and he lost his fan, and he could not take it, and he actually died in 1933. He died. He committed suicide. These are all very hard things to digest. If we imagine that, we may think that it was a very wrong decision, but his whole life he has been practicing something, and he has got this fandom, and he has got this excitement. But now from tomorrow he will not get that excitement. He will have an excitement level fixed, and he will not have an excitement level tomorrow. But what we forget is that Akira Kurosawa then reinvented himself. Akira Kurosawa made so many films, and he became an influential director in so many lives, and he used to say that his brother was an influence in him. And if you think about the story, it is when one thing ends, we cannot repeat it again. Because human beings will not have this urge to do the same thing again and again. You have to reinvent yourself. The next day should be a reinvention. The same thing should be a reinvention. How can you give it in a different way? How can you read Lakshmikant in a different way? How can you read polity or history in a different way? How exciting things are to read in a different way. How these perspectives change. How these questions in civil services are exciting. And you keep innovating, and you keep reskilling, and you keep reinventing yourself for repeated attempts people are writing. I would insist them to reinvent them, because you don't fall back on the things that you have read. Reinvent yourself, read newspaper, challenge your thoughts, absolutely challenge whatever you have read. Reinvent, read comprehensively, not a lot, read comprehensively, come back narrowly, read comprehensively, understand, widen your scope, widen your perspective, widen your mind. But then when the examination comes, as the pyramid narrows down to that tip, you narrow it down to the important books that are there. Everybody knows the standard books which are there. Narrow it down. You will definitely clear this examination. I hope this video was useful to you. I hope you reinvent yourself. I hope you every day in this life is not as mundane as the Monday is, and most often it will be, but I hope it is exciting every day for you. Thank you for watching. All the best.